Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. A massive move is still about to come for Bitcoin, which means you're still in the luck, you're still early on this big move. Now today we're going to be going through a bunch of different things. Unfortunately, we're not looking bad only technically on the technical analysis aspect for Bitcoin, but also fundamentally. And the US could default on its debt as soon as June, and this would have incredibly negative effects on the economy that could really destroy Bitcoin. So there's a lot that I'm going to be going through in today's video, so make sure to stay tuned until the end. And yeah, just smash out the like button. That would be super appreciated. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is this bearish pennant that is forming on the daily time frame. And I'm sure you noticed this entire new design. I'm trying it out, so if you do like it with the chart, with the camera angle and everything, do leave it in the description below. We have this bearish pennant forming on the daily time frame that is very close to breaking towards the downside, and I put a graphic over there so you can see that it is a bearish pennant. Now if I jump to the 4-hourly time frame, right, we can see this bearish pennant. The pennant itself actually is about to break. We had a little fake out towards the downside. Now we're drifting on the support once again, looking pretty dangerous for Bitcoin. I mean, the Bollinger Bands were squeezing yesterday on the 1-hourly. We can also tell that on the 4-hourly time frame too, the Bollinger Bands are most likely squeezing at the same time, because whenever there's consolidation in price, the Bollinger Bands just squeeze. So that's how you can get the reference. And whenever there is a squeeze, it suggests that a massive move on Bitcoin or any other asset is on the way. So this is the pennant. Now it has a target, right? It has a pretty bearish target, but of course this is not the target that we are going to be, well, I'm personally not going to be trading. If I show you the critical level that we're at is the $26,700 level. Now, if we break below this level, then it's going to be catastrophe for Bitcoin. And I already talked about how weak this level already is in my previous videos. And if we do end up breaking below it, then my targets are the following. So I already have a trade set up, as I discussed in yesterday's video. I have a setup, a short position from the break of $26,100. With my first take profit, I changed it to $25,200 because on the weekly time frame, the wicks are a little bit nicer. And this is actually the advantage of using bars instead of normal candles. You can see the wicks a bit more clearly than you could see it on the candlesticks itself. So I changed my first take profit to $25,200, my second to $24,277 from the 24.5, because again, the wicks are a bit nicer on the weekly time frame. And the stop loss is the same at the $26,700 level. So this is the trading setup I'm looking at for Bitcoin at the moment. But if I switch to this head and shoulders chart, we can see that we found support at the 200 period moving average. This is why if we see a break from here around the $26,100 level, then it's a confirmation in my mind saying that yes, we're going to head lower towards the left shoulder's previous resistance. So that is why my trade is at $26,100. If we close this candle in 8 hours as a reversal candle, yes, this could give us a short-term reversal, but let's see. I'm not longing at the moment. I'm only going to short if we see this break towards the downside. If we do see a reversal, then of course that's brilliant, but I won't be trading that personally. So that is what I'm looking at for a trading setup on Bitcoin at the moment. This bearish pennant pattern with the target of $25,200 and then the $24,300 level. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin, and my trade is set on Bitflex, which is, I personally find it beautiful at the moment. I really like the UI design, and of course it doesn't require KYC. So if you do want to use Bitflex, make sure to check it out. It's in the link in the description. Now, the very important thing that I'm going to get to now is the US potentially defaulting on its debt. Now, this is huge. It's actually huge. And if this happens, it will crash the entire economy of the United States. And it will probably cause the value of the dollar to drop significantly also. Now, usually this would impact Bitcoin's price heavily, but I'm also looking at the fact that if we do enter a further recession, that's also not good for Bitcoin. So it's a bit of a 50-50 situation. in my opinion, I think it will negatively impact the price of Bitcoin more so than impacting it positively. Bank failures would impact the price of Bitcoin towards the upside. We've seen that, it's proven, but in terms of the US losing its economical status, that we haven't seen before. And my personal bet is that it would take Bitcoin towards the downside. Now, if we look at the total US national debt, it's over $31.5 trillion. Now, can you imagine $31.5 trillion? It is a huge sum. So the Treasury has about $24 trillion. And if we see a default on its debt, then that's crazy. And just a quick explanation onto what defaulting on debt means. So of course there is Treasury bonds, and people buy Treasury bonds. And when you buy a Treasury bond, you buy it because the government gives you interest on that Treasury bond, and once you purchase it, you're actually giving the government a loan. So you give the government a loan from the price you pay for that bond. They promise you an interest rate, and they promise to pay you back the exact same price you bought the bond for on a specific date. So some of them are set in June, right? These payback dates are set in June, and if they miss it, then that would just cause a huge recession, and it would not be good whatsoever for the United States economy. And if you guys do remember, in March, I believe they proposed to increase the debt limit, and now they're in talks to further increasing it, I believe. So it's just looking very, it's like horrendous, right? So if this does play out and we do see the default on the debt limit, then the economy would really get impacted negatively. And Bitcoin, I don't think Bitcoin will survive that much, alongside, of course, the S&P 500, etc. So I will link this article below. I just summarized it very briefly. There's so many details. I try to summarize it so it's as simple to understand as possible, but I will link this in the description below. It's pretty important for you to go through and read it and gain a further understanding. It tells you what does US debt limit, etc. mean. It's a pretty good read. I highly recommend reading. It's a nice one. And just for reference, I wanted to show you this tweet. Now, the world has $400 trillion, right? $400 trillion in terms of what they owe each other. The world owes, the countries in the world owe each other $400 trillion. I mean, it's just sensational. And where is this going to last? I mean, how long are people going to continue owing each other money, print more money, etc.? And this is where Bitcoin comes into play. So we need to go back to a system, right? We need to go really back into a system that we can't just continue printing money. We have to base it off a reserve of gold, a reserve of oil. We need to go off a reserve. A country's reserve of something needs to be equivalent to the money they print. And this could be very well based on Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin also has the money to its Bitcoin. So we have Bitcoin, which is it's like gold. And then we have, back in the days, then the dollars would be the paper transaction, the smaller unit of the gold that you would use to transact with, right? So that was paper. You would exchange paper for its value of gold, but of course you wouldn't be transacting with gold bars or gold coins. You'd be using the dollars. So satoshis, we'll call it satoshis, and we could be transacting with satoshis, and Bitcoin would be its it's what it's based off, its values based off. And this is a direct correlation. You're just transacting with smaller Bitcoins. I think, again, in the long term, I'm bullish for Bitcoin, but in the short term, until people realize, forget about the US dollar, forget about any other currency, let's just transact with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is people's money. It's not going to be printed by anyone. Let's just use Bitcoin. And the power goes to the consumer. I still think in the Bitcoin is looking bearish in the short term, but again, in the long term, I'm a very big semi-maximalist. I don't say full Bitcoin maxi, but I do think Bitcoin will go to very tremendous highs in the very long term. So I'm stacking Bitcoin every single day. That's what I do. I hodl Bitcoin. I buy in it no matter what the price is, DCA with with money I'm not afraid to lose. That's not going to impact me financially. And of course, nothing in this video is financial advice, but it's what I'm doing to prepare for the long run. But guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure to turn on that notification bell if you want to be alerted immediately when I post these videos, because it's crucial. Sometimes there is a massive move and you just miss out on it. I'm looking at the volume, by the way. Also, the volume is decreasing pretty significantly on Bitcoin, but you guys may have a question. Why do we have massive volume when the price is going towards the upside, right? And we need massive volume to go up, but for a significant drop, we don't even need that much volume. So basically, this is the reason, right? So for price to go up, we need demand. So people need to actually be buying the asset for price to go up. But for price to go down, even if there is a lack of buyers, then price can still go towards the downside. And that is why we don't need volume for price to necessarily drop towards the downside. So that was probably a question some of you had. So I just wanted to answer that very quickly. But guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you very, very soon, guys. So take care, everyone, and bye-bye.